Welcome to the Simple Ayurveda podcast. I'm Angela Prager, and this is a place where we discuss how ancient wisdoms can be applied to your everyday life so that you can be your happiest, healthiest self. Hello, and welcome to episode 155, Weekly Rituals. To me, this is such a fun topic. However, if you are brand new to Ayurveda, this might not be the place to start. I welcome you to listen, take it all in, plant the seeds, but then know that you don't have to overly complicate your life. And I definitely recommend starting out with cultivating a more solid daily rhythm based on circadian rhythm and perhaps visiting the dosha times of day episode just to get a foundation of what an Ayurvedic daily rhythm looks like or what it would look like for you in modern day life. And then when that feels solid, I feel like it's been super powerful and super fun just to pull in the energy of the planets and how they align with the days of week into my own life and just creating this weekly rhythm that expands on the daily rhythm. In Ayurveda, we look at all of the ways that this human experience is connected to nature, which is of course like what all indigenous cultures look at. And in Ayurveda, we have written records that kind of lay it out for us. And when we connect to these cycles that are already occurring, they provide us a roadmap that we can just kind of like amp up the energy for ourselves. And so today, I'm just going to share with you what I've learned about this connection with the days of the week and particular types of energy, offer some of the ways that I've pulled it into my own life, and then give you a little bit of inquiry on how you might explore it in your life. And of course, what you do with it is going to look totally different than what I do with it, than what someone else is going to do with it. And that to me is the beauty of Ayurveda, that we take this essence of a teaching and then the way that it manifests for each individual person is different and beautiful, like all of the flowers in the garden that all of the flowers are getting sunlight and rain, but then each one blooms differently and we don't all have to make it look the same way. So I'm only providing specific examples for me just so that you can start to brainstorm what that might look like for you. And if you would like more support in this is the theme for September 2021 in the Simple Ayurveda Collective. Every month there is a theme with a video lesson that I try to keep short and sweet. Similar to the podcast style here, you get the PDFs, you get journaling prompts, and one live workshop a month that supports the specific topic. All of the resources stay in there, and so any topic that we've already done together as a group is there for you to go at your own self-pace whenever you like. So the details for the Simple Ayurveda Collective are in the show notes, and I would love for you to join our group of beautiful souls all supporting each other in implementing Ayurveda for real modern day life. Okay, so now to go on to this topic, which I just love so much. Can you hear the excitement? All right, so when we look at the energies that are at play in a weekly cycle, we can look at the connection to the planets. And where I've studied astrology is with Robin Stamp at Universe Embodied. He was interviewed here on episode 124. And his episode was amazing. So if you're curious about astrology or you want to dive in and you haven't listened yet, I do recommend going back and listening to episode 124. And of course, Rachel Jameson has been on the podcast. She's another amazing Vedic astrologer, and Michael Manzella has been on the podcast. So I love getting readings from different astrologers and studying from different ones because just like Ayurveda, there is an art and a science to it, right? We have our birth chart, which maps out where the planets are, but then when we start to read that, there is an art and a lens through each person that the way they see things, right? And the conversation that you have with a person during a session or when you're learning. And so each person brings their own flavor to it and just creates expansion. So I've worked with all of these people and I've gotten readings from other people as well because I love to geek out on this. So Robin, who I formerly studied with, his lineage is from Sri Yukteswar. And I'll share that website in the notes in case you want to go down the rabbit hole of yogic astrology for yourself. So basically, Again, Mother Nature flows in rhythms and cycles. And when we tune into what's happening, we create flow, and we recognize that the outer reflects the inner and vice versa. And so this cosmic energy can be here to support us. And this quote from Sri Yukteswar, who holds the lineage of yogic astrology, he says, "It is only when a traveler has reached his goal that he is justified in discarding his maps. During the journey, he takes advantage of any convenient shortcut." I love this because if you remember way back, if you've been a listener for a while, one of my own personal teachers that I love, like I had their book for years, I'd been studying and teaching from his book, Brittany Clark, was on the podcast, and he also brought in this word map. And basically, we could say that the birth chart, we could say that the days of the week, we could say that all of the different calendars, whether it's a moon calendar or, a monthly calendar, they're all different maps. They're all different guides that take us to the same place, to more awareness, to more daily alignment, to more expansion within, to more soul growth. And each map provides like a different lens. So we might be looking at a physical map, or we might be looking at a political map, and each one is telling us something different, but it's all kind of looking at the same thing, just from a different lens. And so what Sri Yukteswar is saying is that, of course, in a place of oneness, when we've reached moksha or liberation, do we need to know our birth chart? Do we need to know the energies of the planets? No. Once we've returned to source, do we need all of that? No, we don't. But here in this human experience, the more foundation that we have, the more guidance that we have from, a true source, a source of truth with a capital T, then the more that there is this opportunity for growth and expansion. And obviously that's why I'm here chatting about Ayurveda, because I love it so much, because it just provides this foundation, this map of the human experience. It kind of spells out a lot of things I was confused about. And so for me, Jyotish, Vedic astrology, it is a sister science of Ayurveda, and they go together, just like yoga is another sister science. So the days of the week are energetically connected to specific planets. And when we learn about the characteristics of the planets, we can use this wisdom to allow that planet's energy to support us in specific ways. We can consider this a map. And so this is why I say, if you're brand new to Ayurveda, listen, have fun, but don't get stressed about this at all. And recognize that a lot of us don't have full control over our schedule. Like if you have a job where you work Monday through Friday, then you're just going to take little pieces of this and see how you can implement it. So Sunday, I think you can guess the planet associated. And I use the word planet from the Vedic perspective, celestial body. So the sun, the Sanskrit name Surya, and the sun is the higher vibration that reflects our inner light. So it's our soul, it's our identity, it's our presence, it's divine masculine energy. What's really interesting I found is that oftentimes from a Western perspective, the sun sign is viewed as most important because this is our identity, right? And in Western culture, we're really tied to our identity, how we show up. We're really tied to those labels of our profession, our family roles, whether, we have this or that, or our relationships. And so the sun is often considered the most important part on the chart, which from the Vedic perspective, usually the moon is considered the most important part, and we'll get into the moon next. The lower vibration of the sun's energy is that the egos need to be right and the difficulty for introspection. So if we think about the sun's role is to shine out, when that is super powerful, there's less ability to go inward. And so this might depend, this does depend partially on your karma, which Robin talked about in episode 124, is where your sun is on your birth chart is going to tell, your tendencies and whether this is a really powerful, influential place on your chart or less so. But when we're talking about the days of the week, basically we're talking about this highest version of you, right? Your soul, your identity, your presence, and that is for the day of Sunday. So for me personally, I'll just share, I like to journal on Sundays. Like I like to do an oracle card spread or like pull out some like deeper questions, some self-inquiry questions, like the kind of questions that I give you in the Simple Ayurveda Collective, the kind of questions that I sometimes send out in the free emails, just like soul reflection. I feel like Sunday is an awesome day to do that. I also really like Sunday night to turn off all tech after dinner, to kind of like wind down, put the kids to bed, and spend that time like lighting a candle, doing yoga, doing abhyanga, just like really taking more time for self-care practices to sort of like set up the week. Because if we think about presence and identity and divine masculine energy, it's kind of like go-getter energy. It's like, how do you show up? And when we're all frazzled and tired out, or if we've had a busy weekend, to me, Sunday evening is like a really nice time to wind down and take care of that masculine energy so that it's like reset for the week. So you can explore that for yourself. Monday, we have Moon Day, and the Sanskrit name is Chandra. The higher vibration reflects our emotions, our subconscious, our intuition, receptivity, divine feminine energy. So when this is afflicted, we can be overly emotional or lack trust. So our emotions are basically like all over the place and not that they need to be even, because they come in like a wave, right? But more like we're able to ride the wave rather than flailing around off our surfboards. So for Monday, with this energy of emotions and subconscious and intuition and receptivity and divine feminine energy. So if you do have that Monday through Friday, like back to work, to me, this is like where the power of setting up your week ahead of time, because Monday being more this day of receptivity, it's not really a day where like trying to stack on too many tasks, in my opinion. So even though you might be back to work, where can you choose to slow down and tune into your intuition? So where can you set yourself up? Like maybe reduce appointments on Mondays, or not make plans in the evenings on Mondays, or make plans to go to yoga or something like that. So explore in your own weekly ritual, your own weekly rhythm. How can you create some ease in Monday so that your intuition has space? So maybe you do a guided meditation on Monday mornings, early, maybe you wake up early, something like that. Those are just some suggestions to think about. And by the way, especially if you're brand new to sort of like mapping out the week this way, I highly recommend jotting down in a planner or using your phone app or whatever it is that you do to keep track of appointments and things like that, these little rituals, right? Maybe just starting with one or two. Tuesday, is Mars. And I like to look at the connection with the Spanish names, because when we look at the names of the days of the week in Spanish, I see the tie to the planet. And not that I speak Spanish fluently, just a little bit conversationally. And I know that Spanish has a root language. I think it's Latin. So other languages like French also have names that are similar, that tie in with the planets in a more obvious way. So Martes being for Mars, which is Tuesday. So Mars, we have those red planets. So we have energy and life force, ambition, courage, and desire, and the lower vibration being aggression, greed, or recklessness. So to me, Mars is like this warrior energy, and we all have it in certain degrees. Some of us have it really strong, especially probably Pitta might show up on the birth chart. And basically, with this warrior energy, where are you directing it, right? Are you directing it by getting like really agitated and irritated by a lot of stuff? Or do you direct it toward creating change for good? Or do you, like, what are you doing with your Mars energy? So for me, this Mars energy of like life force and ambition and courage. Personally, I like to schedule like one-to-one clients. I like to do classes and courses and things like that on Tuesday. Being a teacher, because with this life force ambition, with, like Monday was receptivity, and now kind of like having that fiery energy toward learning. It's working for me so far, but it's just something to explore, so this is where you could explore, where are you directing your warrior energy toward higher purposes? And, this might be a day where you check off something on that task list associated with your dharma, or, things like that. Wednesday is Mercury. In Spanish, it's miércoles. And Mercury is our communication, our logic, our wit, our discernment. The lower vibration of Mercury can be flighty and ungrounded. It can also be stuck in the head, right? Like brainy, not really connected to our intuition or to that softer feminine energy. And so how does Mercury support your expression? As well as, in this day and age, I think most of us are kind of like abusing our communication, like we're over communicated. So what practices do you do to give your senses a break? I'll just share with you, I like to schedule podcast interviews on Wednesday if I can. Not that I won't do them on another day, but I'm just sharing, like, kind of keeping these energies in mind, because that's communication. And to have that conversation with someone else, that we both have that energy of Mercury to support sharing ideas and things like that. So that's just a small example of something I like to do with Wednesdays. Thursday is the energy of Jupiter, Jueves in Spanish, which of course is spelled with the J. And this is the higher vibration that reflects wisdom, expansion, wealth, and abundance. The lower vibration can be overzealous, lazy, irresponsible, or ego-centered. So you can think about what activities or practices support abundance and wisdom in your life. This is a day, Thursday, like from this perspective, might be a day where you go over your bank account, where you kind of like get your bills in order, check your statements, like any rituals around money, could be a time to do that. With wisdom, a great day for studying, for listening to uplifting podcast. Not that you can do that on any day, but it's, it's just like working with the energy. And then Friday is Venus. A Spanish name is Viernes, so you can see that spelling and similarity. The higher vibration of Venus, of course, is love, beauty, charisma, creativity, and bliss. And the lower vibration is greed, indulgence, attachment, and stubborn. Because when we think about like love and beauty, when we're giving that freely and when we're receiving that freely, we're in the highest vibration of it. When we want to hoard it, whether we don't want to give it away or whether we're taking it from others and like not in a relationship of some sort of reciprocal giving and taking, that's that lower vibration, right? So even in a surface level, like shopping and hoarding, it could be like really strong Venus, but then it's kind of taken on like a negative tone to it. It started out as wanting to be beautiful or wanting to have a beautiful home or just like collecting beautiful things, but then when it gets out of hand, then it turns into greed or overindulgence, right? So you can kind of just see that energy and play with it and walk with what does the higher vibration. And so I love this because it's really important to understand from the Vedic perspective that having a human body and a human experience is not seen as something that we need to be ashamed of. And if you love beautiful things or you like to wear nice clothes or you like to have a nice home, it's not a negative thing about you. It's not something you have to be ashamed of, right? You are meant to enjoy that. And especially if that's really strong in your chart and big part of your personality, it's just when it becomes detrimental toward other people because we're, taking more than our fair share or things like that, where it becomes that lower vibration. So Friday is a really nice day to consider what practices connect you to beauty and what supports your connection to your heart space. So for example, I love the idea of kind of like having Friday night as like a time to spend with family or friends and just having like an open heart space. I love the idea of like not scheduling a lot on Fridays unless, you know, it's like going out in nature or something like that. And so for me, I try to keep like Fridays to be spaciousness and to like really just enjoy beauty. And so if I'm working from home, I like to like create things. I like to create courses or things like that, but it's fun to like add in that beauty and not be in a rush and kind of like enjoy the creativity aspect of it and working out of love. So whether that's just, you know, like throwing on a quick 5-minute heart opening meditation on Fridays or spending a moment staring at your beloveds, whatever that looks like for you. Saturday is the planet of Saturn. It's so cool how it's in the name in English. And Saturn is our slow-moving teacher. So out of the planets that are used in Vedic astrology, Saturn is the farthest one. It's the slowest moving, and the higher vibration is to reflect understanding and living your duty. So it's kind of like that overall arching purpose. We could say like connected to your dharma, your dedication, your patience, structure, and organization. The lower vibration is attachment and obstacles. So really, I view this for me personally because my personal dharma is heavily tied to family and to being a mother. So for me, Saturday, when I view it as living my duty and dedication and patience, I see it as tied to spending time with my kids. Now they're younger right now, and you know I have more control over their schedule and things like that. So take everything with a grain of salt. But really, like for Saturday, what practices support your dharma? So whether it is as someone that likes to stay home, whether it is, you know, connection with others and relationships, like what are the practices that help you step into fully who you are? And it doesn't mean work or career. It just means like the essence of who you are, right? So maybe that's quiet time. But it also, Saturn represents structure and organization. So for me, I have to laugh because this is like making sure the house is tidied up and like kind of organizing things, daily rhythm and having the meal set and things like that. That's all to me part of what Saturn looks like in my life. So I invite you to explore the days of the week as an organizational tool to perhaps slow down and start to subtly connect with the planetary energies, to recognize that this is just a map, that we don't have to like obsess over it or make it something to stress over. Please don't do that. Perhaps you might pick your favorite day of the week, like start with one day. Like if you really like intuition, starting with Mondays and kind of like writing in your calendar some sort of like little activity to you that connects you to your intuition. That might be a really fun, beautiful, supportive place to start. Or maybe it's that you struggle with something. So maybe it's with Sundays, with that sun energy and identity, that the divine masculine is kind of, it could be like all over the place. And so therefore like honing in and doing supportive practices like abhyanga or warm bath or meditations that soothe that energy and direct it, right? Direct it into flow. So you could start with your favorite energy, favorite planetary energy day of the week, or you could start with one that's challenging and just let it bloom from there. All of the notes from today's podcast episode are in the Simple Ayurveda Collective, so all spelled out. And there's also a days of the week planner that I put together that just has the planet and the energies so that you could use that for planning on your own. So if you want more support, that's available to you, and the link will be in the podcast show notes for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful day. Om Tat Sat. Thank you for listening. I would love to stay connected. Please join the free Simple Ayurveda community newsletter for resources, including recipes, journal prompts, and other tools to help you implement Ayurveda into your modern everyday life. The sign up is at simpleayurveda.com. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.